Are you forever making excuses about why you don't do your vlog? Perhaps you haven't got the right studio or the right kit, or maybe your inspiration's run out. Let me share with you a bit of my story and a structure that will help you overcome the tyranny of the blank page, or the blank mind, or dare I say it, writer's block. I have really adapted this from an excellent work by Donald Miller, called Building a Storybrand. It's one of the best books I've ever read, and a brilliant structure. So let me take you back in time to a moment where I didn't have structure and the consequences of that moment. Picture, if you will, the first form in secondary school. I moved from a small middle school up to this giant secondary school. I was a tiny lad in a school full of boys. It was a kind of competitive, aggressive environment. And we went to our first physics lesson with Mr. Stubbs. And Mr. Stubbs thought it would be important for us to experience the reality of physics. So he had a Van de Graaff generator, which is a machine that generates vast amounts of static electricity, even to the point of being slightly dangerous. Now, I've tried to block this off in my memory, but I think he got us first form boys to hold hands in a circle. Yeah, you know that's going to go well. He powers up the Van de Graaff generator and sends a shockwave through the whole class. Bam! That, boys, he says, is physics. I decide, in that instant, immediately, I don't do physics. It was a terrible experience and a life-changing one, because I really don't do physics, and it's an amazing subject. He added insult to injury by giving us our first homework on what he thought was an easy topic. Write an essay, he said, on electricity. There I was with the tyranny of the blank page, and I couldn't think of what to write. And of course, my marks, my grades, reflected this inauspicious start. There was no focus, there was no structure, the subject was too broad. Very, very different my first chemistry lesson. Mr. Hill, who was about 7 foot tall, he was huge, lanky, and had one eye. The other eye he'd lost in a chemistry accident. And he was teaching us chemistry. He already had authority. He said, boys, as he looked around for us. We were tiny compared with him. He used to go up a flight of stairs in 2 steps, boom, boom, while we were scrambling around like ants. Amazing guy, really nice chap. He said, boys, get to the back. We went to the back of the room where the benches were, and there was a galvanised bucket with water in it. Not very exciting so far, but he gets a jar, pulls out a pellet of sodium with his tongs, drops the pellet of sodium into the bucket, kaboom, takes a chunk out of the ceiling. We all say with one mind, we do chemistry. Vastly different experiences, and all part of the story. You've got an amazing story to tell. It doesn't have to be a happy story with a happy ending. Stories are not always happy, but they are powerful. And all powerful stories, so says Don Miller, and I agree, share a similar structure. And once you know the structure, your brain will fill the gap. Your mind, the gap. So let me share that structure with it. Here's the really good news. You are the hero. You're the talent, but you're becoming a hero. So when the story begins, it's before your amazing character has emerged, as it's been shaped and transformed by the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. So you're the hero, the becoming hero, who has a problem or problems. And the problems you build into the story as well. So set up a little bit of your background so the reader, the listener, the viewer understands a little about you, where you started. And then talk about your problems. And your problems can be internal. They could be self-doubt. They could be external. You might be facing some sickness or disease or disability that's saying no to a bright and happy future. You might have a philosophical dilemma, a moral dilemma. Should I do the right thing, or should I take the money? And of course, all good stories have a villain. So make sure you tell us about the villains in your story. I write regularly for an amazing organisation called Moodscope. Moodscope.com. It's a supportive community for those who are facing the villain of the black dog of depression, as Churchill called it. So tell us about the villain, and then recognise that you're doomed. You know, nothing amazing is going to happen unless you get help. So the elements of the story so far: you, the hero, give us the backstory, tell us about the problems, the villain, the things you're facing, and then tell us about the guide, because in all good stories, rescue comes in the form of not a hero, but a guide, the Gandalf, the Obi-Wan Kenobi, that friend, that counsellor, that expert in a field who has the right inspiration for you at the right time. And for a really good story, they have a resource. They might have a map. They might have a plan. They might have a strategy, and they share that with you, and they call you to action, and they hold you to account. Usually, in all the best films, there's a plot reversal where things start going really, really bad for you, as if you didn't have enough problems in the first place. It all goes a bit, yeah. So with the help of the guide and the plan, the map, the secret resource, the key, the magic power, I don't know what it's going to be in your story, you push through the valley of trouble, all the problems, and you emerge victorious in a happy story. But for it to be a compelling story, you must highlight the crossroads. If you don't take action, we need to know the dreadful thing that will happen if you keep going on the path that you've always been going on. If you keep doing what you've always been doing, you'll keep getting what you've always been getting amplified. And then we need to have the happy ever after bit where if you choose this path, there will be happiness ever after, heavenly choirs, and all the credits rolling where everybody goes, well done, superhero. So that's the structure I want to give you. Give us your backstory. Tell us about your problems, including the villain. Tell us about your guide, the people who have helped you on the journey. Tell us about the dilemma you're facing now that really calls you to make that choice point. Tell us what will happen if you don't choose the right path, and tell us what will happen if you do choose the right path. And if you do that, I promise you, you won't have any writer's block or the tyranny of the empty page. You'll have an opportunity to tell a story that people will go, I get you. Wow, I can really relate to that. Well done, hero. Then you can put your underpants on over your tights, trouser, skirt, or whatever you want to wear, and save the day for someone else by becoming a guide for them. That they can be the hero of their own story, and you can be the guide with the map, the plan, the call to action. I've been, mostly today, Lex McKee. I'd love you to subscribe to my channel and ring that notifications bell so you hear about the next adventure that we do together. But above all things, I want to hear your story. Your audience awaits.
I got a feeling that tonight will be the best night I can feel in. When I see you around, my heart starts to heal it. I got a feeling my love tonight's off. If you want to dance, you have to try, get it on. Just you and me, forget about the time gone. About the time gone.